gonna be down there, but we haven't started ours because I'm down here and it can
Okay.
get hot.
Mm.
So it warms up. So Tuesday I'll probably run it when I'm not working down here.
Okay. Yeah.
Down there, but we haven't started ours because I'm down here and it
Right.
can get hot.
Right. Right. So, and so, while I was all excited, I was like, "Ooh, now I could just go and sleep in my basement when I want to." Yeah, it was like that dampness was. I was like, "Ooh." So the next night, I just, so I got to get that. I took I have quite a few air conditioners at my house, but I usually take them and store them because I don't particularly like air conditioning,
Yeah.
if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
But I sleep better with it, but it's not necessarily all that comfortable to me to have that air. So anyway, I took them. The one that I use in my bedroom is upstairs now that I have that tenant out of there. It's upstairs.
Okay.
I just put it upstairs, and so I have to bring it back down and put it in the window. But then it's like I have two windows in my bedroom, and so I love it when I get that cross breeze, and
Oh yeah.
and so when I put the air conditioner in the window, it blocks some of my air.
The
So I don't know. It's like,
regular easy breeze
yeah,
part. Yeah.
yeah. And but I also have the roll around kind of air
Oh, I
conditioner.
love those.
Yeah, but they take up so much space. And my
They do.
bedroom is.
They do. I love those portable ones.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Considering that for my bedroom, it's to me it's like shooting an ant with a shotgun because my room is so little.
Uh-huh.
But because my mom is down here, her room is all insulated or whatever, but my father does not like air. And he's on
Uh-huh.
the second floor upstairs. And
Uh-huh.
it's very hot up there. Very, very hot. It's like it's hot.
Yeah, like a sauna sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
It
He
seems
still
like
be all snuggled up.
yeah, but they say heat rises. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it does get hotter the higher up you go. So I get it. I get it. It's just like so I am still I'm fine. It's
Yeah. And you know what? This is gonna be over soon. I mean, you look up and summer is done.
you know what? And that's why I don't complain about it because I love the heat. And
Exactly.
I love having just enough heat that it is not oppressive.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you go some places and it's like you don't even want to go outside, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got that kind of weather that is hot but not oppressive. And so
No.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. So and all the rain yesterday was good. And
It was good. I wish that I had the luxury of sleeping. I'm used to having big windows in my room. I
mm,
don't have that here, but I love opening up the windows all over the house when
yeah,
it's raining. I just love it and put a sweater on or whatever. But
yeah.
I love it. I love the sound of rain. I love to sleep in it. If I get to be still for just a few minutes, I'm going to sleep if it's raining.
Now, at back at the beginning of actually it was still springtime, beginning of spring, I got those Amish guys that built my porches. I got them
Mm-hmm.
to come back and put an awning over my porch. I don't know if I had told you about that, but I wanted that awning it was like it's like a clear plastic
Mm-hmm. I've seen.
poly something up there. And so on one hand is I didn't anticipate, I see people with frosted, but I and so I didn't want it to block any sunlight coming in. So I got it clear. but I didn't anticipate what my brother calls the greenhouse effect.
For the
So,
birds.
well, no, for like when the sun hits it, it kind of,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it kind of heats up a little bit. But like when it rains,
Oh,
you could hear the pitter patter of the rain. You could see the rain falling on the top of the thing, and it's really nice. But yeah, it does get a little hotter up under there. Um, but so yesterday I took my book. I'm reading a different book, and I sat out on the back on the porch and listened to the pitter patter of the rain. I sat in the gazebo the day before as it rained, and that was nice too. So yeah, sitting outside in the rain is wonderful.
it is. It is. I was in the gazebo yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, during the rain.
I've got a couple of spots in my gazebo where the water comes in at, but it's like these little
Oh,
holes.
those two, yeah, those holes on it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And the sort of water just
Pay
kind of
attention.
comes right in. And I don't, I got to figure out a way of, rerouting that so it's not wetting up stuff. So I put a flower pot under there, and I think my flower probably was about to drown. Like, help,
It's
help.
coming in like that. Oh yeah, you.
So anyway, so it's going to be a
Always something to do.
marvelous day. A
It
marvelous.
already is. This has been a good day. It was a good workout, and yeah, I kind of was a little stingy with my green tea, so I would have to. Well, this is gonna be my last week for buying green tea from Starbucks, but my last three. What's today? Thursday. I got one more. My last, maybe Saturday. My last two are gonna be no ice because I want all of my tea. And I came home and it was like mostly ice in the cup because I was like, I'm almost done with this.
Oh,
I don't like that. So I'm like, no ice. I'll put my ice in it when I get home because I like my tea to last me at least till 10 o'clock. So I
uh,
can
yeah.
wake up.
Uh, I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm
Got-
an addict,
I
Starbucks addict. I admit it.
I can't even tell you the last time I went into Starbucks.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I was someplace, and I was, oh, that's when I was in Miami, and I was looking for someplace to buy coffee, and the guy was like, "Oh, there's a Starbucks." I said, "Not Starbucks. I am not a fan." And he looks at me like I had grown two heads or something.
Yeah, I know a
I
lot of people
was
that don't drink Starbucks and give me the business about drinking it.
like,
So,
well, so you know what? I think that when I learned Starbucks business model, I had a little more respect for the company. But I I'm a purist. I don't need all of that stuff. I don't need all that stuff. So I know people who love Starbucks, and I know people who love Dunkin' Donuts. I
I
am
know.
neither
Mhm.
of those. I would rather have my own cup of coffee
Oh, me too.
in my own house with my own international cream, French vanilla. If if I have my druthers, I rather drink Folgers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I have too. I like whole bean coffee though. So yeah.
I
But
used to
I mean,
grind mines too.
yeah, yeah. So but I haven't had a setup like that um since I've been back home. So I just let it be what it is. But yeah, that would be a preference. But now my goal is just doing without it and maybe getting up and making a spinach smoothie and calling it beautiful.
Yeah,
You
good.
know, we'll
Good.
see. We'll see.
Girl, I used to do that. I used to stick
Yeah.
all my greens, my spring mix down in that blender and with a banana and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I
See.
get it. It's just
We'll see. I know, but I'm just want to see. Try to do this 4th of July and we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm always doing something with some food. I told you my mother's like, "Are you eating meat today?" Because
Yeah.
I'm always switching up. I'm just trying to see what my body feels like.
Yeah. So I had told Rhonda about girl I went to college with, LaShawn. She's a nurse and has since COVID, she's been traveling all over the place, picking up work. So she has had an excellent COVID season. I think she bought a couple of cars in order as evidence of how wonderful COVID has been to her. But one of the things that she's doing is she's, she for the last, I don't know how many years, she's been really into working out. And so she's doing a 7-day jump rope challenge. And so every day she gets on and she's the challenge is to 1,000 jumps a day for 7 days.
Oh,
And she's recording it over Instagram.
wow.
And so I was like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna join you," because I get up at 5 o'clock to work out. And but girl, I got to get my rope together. So
I'm like, what is 1,000 jumps?
yeah,
Who
but
counts that high?
but wait a minute, that's what I was saying.
Jump.
I told Rhonda, I say it's gonna be more like 10 minutes. 10 minutes of as fast as I could
As
go.
I go, stop, stop. That would be
Yeah.
me. Ooh, 1,000. Just the thought of that is overwhelming. I have to write
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
So good
Well,
for her.
we've done 100 squats before, and
Yeah, I've done 100 squats. Right.
jumping
That's
rope.
times 10 though now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Ooh,
Squats ain't no joke either. So
no, they're not. But wow, that's good for her. High five.
yeah.
And
Okay.
God bless the person who want to break her record. That's super ambitious. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo, 1,000.
All
Ah,
right. So today we're back still in the second chakra, and I realize, good morning, everybody. We just been sitting here talking, which is what we do anyway.
yeah. Oh, sorry. It's almost
Yeah.
7.
So, but what I was saying is I realized that we are taking our time going through this section because I think that it is so important that we talk about all of this stuff. And as Desmond put in the other day, he was like, we just scratching the surface because we still are not. There's so many other things, and as we go deeper into this work, there's a lot of stuff that she does address in this particular section. When we're talking about managing sexual energy, though, there is a lot of stuff that comes up that, especially for me, when I originally read this book, I was not like anywhere near going through the menopausal thing. And for many people, if you have been, Stephanie has had children. She has had the full expression of her womanhood in that regard. Um, yeah. But I have not. And they said that menopause comes on earlier for people who don't give birth to children, like if you didn't birth a child. And so that was the case with me. I have never though felt like in any way diminished by my choices, and they were my choices. But I have not felt diminished by that. While I know that for a time, I, like many others, have struggled with that, especially since the pressure from society as a whole is so great on women being women, as you would say, and as if it was almost a duty rather than a choice. And so in that, there are many people who choose not to have children, but also struggle around that choice. struggle with not only judgments from others, but also from themselves. And what's wrong with me that I don't have a biological clock? Because that was not something that ever came up for me. Um, I think that as I approached 40, I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder if I did the right thing. If you could call that a biological clock, then fine. But what I realized is that the window was closing on the option if I wanted the option. And I would say to people that of myself, like just Sandra by herself, I never had a desire to have children. But when I watch my brothers with their children, what I thought is, oh, it would be nice to love a man that much to want to see him out pictured in another human being.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case for me. I didn't look at myself and think, oh, I want to have a little Sandra running around. That was never my thought. And I don't have a big like rabbit hole of exploration that I have gone through over that, just knowing that that was a choice that I made. And one of the things that I tell people often is that we do the best that we can with the light that we have to see by. So on certain days, the light is very bright, and on other days we see dimly,
And
right?
yeah, and so I'm in this whole dating phase, and so I'm meeting new people my age, men, and there are men who have elected to not have children, been extremely intentional about that. And they too, I think everybody that makes that decision because of society has a moment to pause. And then those of us who have children have the moment, why did I do that? I wonder if I was ever supposed to be a parent, you know? So it kind of goes both ways. But men also are asking themselves the question if I should have had at least one, person. And so I think that the choice lends itself to the experience of what if. And I can say as a mother, that choice has lent itself to the same question. So I don't know why we do what we do, but I just said that to say that not only are women with the biological clock or whatever our narratives are about that, I'm learning that men who have made the same choice and get to be, 50s and 60s, they're like, I wonder if I made the right choice. But they're surrounded by friends, and that's one of the things that they say. But I have a life that I'm full of, have friends and family. They're loved. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, they don't worry about like, am I going to be left by myself to myself? But the thought comes across their mind. I
Yeah.
like to ask good, juicy questions like that.
Yeah. So and I was thinking two things there, but here, one of the things that's not one of my concerns. Like, am I gonna be left by myself? One of the things that I am intentional about is trying to do enough good and spread enough love that I should never have to lack for it, you know? Um, and the other part of that is that I've always told people that when I die, I want to be the person that's sliding into home, like like the like you see the baseball players rounding third and coming in. I want to be sliding in and preferably with a margarita in my hand and be like, who made it, and stand up on the plate like, I'm here, darn it. That's the kind of energy that I want to bring to it. I don't want to be sitting up waiting on something to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
So 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 in this book, we are in Anatomy of the Spirit. I feel like I have to say that every day now, by Carolyn Miss, PhD. If you have a desire to follow along with us, or if you want to read this for yourself, I really, truly encourage you to get the book. But in this book, she talks about, and I wanna just kind of I want to read through this for a minute because I don't want to necessarily put it in my own terms because which is what I do a lot. I like to read stuff and then paraphrase for you. But right here, she really explores and jumps off into the thing about women. Now, this is not to say that she is excluding men.
Right.
And there are places when she talks a little bit more about men and their prostrate and those types of issues. But when we're talking about this sexual energy, and I really need to go back and juxtapose this up against a book that I read so long ago, is Falling Apart, Cultivating the Female Sexual Energy. And I found this book when I first started reading it really interesting, because one of the exercises that this man had me doing was to become very aware of my sexual organs. So even in that, feeling the walls of your vagina, like bringing your consciousness to each side in an effort to work the muscles so that you become really conscious about your full body, right? And he also said, this is the book where this man said that a man should not only be able to urinate out of his penis, but to suck water in through it. And so it is about learning about the musculature of your body and what is possible with it. And so I think that we all got work to do. But it depends on where you want to go. I mean, because yeah, surely you don't need to drink a glass of water that way, right? I'm just saying, you can just, the old fashioned way, just gulp it down. But to know that there are possibilities out there, and that we can have a different relationship with our body, I think is amazing. So she says, women are physical examples of the ongoing life pattern energy becoming matter through pregnancy, labor, and delivery. Women's life cycles expresses a natural progression of sexual energy. For most women, for instance, Kundalini, and most people, I don't know if we've heard about Kundalini, but most of us haven't experienced it. I have some yogis in my life who have gone through Kundalini training, and I am anxiously anticipating the possibility of going and taking one of those classes. I know that Karen Andrea Hale, who is an astrologer. She used to do astrology on 93 in the morning times. It was always juicy and good. But she just completed her coursework of teaching Kundalini yoga. And Kundalini yoga is the movement of the Kundalini energy up through your body. So let me, for instance, she says, Kundalini, or sexual spiritual energy, begins to rise naturally about the age of 40. Now, you know how they talk about, and we used to hear this all the time, that men or boys reach their sexual peak at an early age, and women, we don't reach our sexual peak until after 40. And so, but she's saying that this is when this really starts to rise in us. As it rises, it activates our chakras through which it passes. So that energy, as it goes up, it is activating. So yeah, I don't need to go through all of that stuff. Any unfinished business residing in the lower chakras makes itself known through premenopausal and menopausal years. Now get this. For women who have had limited sexual pleasure, for instance, the blocked Kundalini energy or unused sexual juice manifests itself in hot flashes. Now, if you have known me or know me, you know that I struggled for about, I'll say 10 years, maybe 10 years with that doggone hot flashes like you would not believe. And I remember when I first read this, I was determined to like, let me get it in, let me get some sex in, because I was like, I don't want to go through menopause. And even going through menopause, I was redefining it like, ooh, this is sexy, this is hot, y'all gotta, you know. But when she talks about unexpressed sexual juices, it's not just the act of having sex. And that's a lot of times what we do. We go through the motions as if just to be physically in proximity and feel the, you know, have sex is the goal. But now that I'm reading this, it's not just to have sex, it is actually to have sex that brings you to an orgasm, sex that clears out what she calls the energetic debris that you have in your system. So it has got to be something that is not just about the friction, about the doing. It has to also, you know, touch us on a deeper level. Let me keep reading, because I want to give you her words for this. So for women who have had limited sexual pleasure, for instance, the blocked kundalini energy and unused sexual juice may manifest as hot flash. Unused creative energy now, or creative conflicts may also be expressed as hot flashes, right? So some of us are naturally creative, right? And we suppress that too because we judge it. We've got these terms like starving artist, or we make kind of fun or light of people who really have that strong creative something about them, that they are always pulling things together. And sometimes we make and we use words like frivolous, or we have judgments attached to that causes people to go in different directions. There are some who will tap into that, but can you imagine if you have something that is supposed to come through you, right? Birthing something, because sometimes birthing a piece of art is almost, some people don't want to, say it like this, but it's almost like giving birth to whatever it is. You're bringing something forth that was not before. And that creative energy needs to come through you and needs to come out. That's one of the reasons why, and the reason why I know this is because I'm always telling people that part of what I do, the reason why I do what I do, is because this feels right and comfortable for me to talk, to express, to share, to kind of like, incorporate information and then to share it forth. That is comfortable for me. When I am not talking or not sharing, that is like, I feel like I got a foot in my back telling me, help her get out there. You better talk. I feel it like a pressure. And so I can imagine that creative people would also feel a creative pressure as it relates to stuff like that. Stephanie is back. Stephanie, do you ever feel the pressure of suppressing, like
Girl, right now.
Okay.
This didn't look like on me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I remember feeling it and being afraid, and then I remember feeling it and not being afraid, but still not doing it for whatever reason.
Right.
Especially in my years of being a parent.
Uh-huh.
Ah, just
Yeah.
it's like I'm supposed to be doing something else other than this.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but yeah.
Yeah, and, I have a sister-in-law that is like that. She is a wonderful actress. And what I have seen her do, witnessed her do, is in times when her life seems the most tumultuous, what she does is she finds a play to get into, or she finds something to use that creative outlet. And it seems as though she finds, like things come into order. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know how some people operate, but some people, the more stuff they have on their plate, the better organized they are. When they got time on their hands,
Stuff just pile up. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
So I get that. So there is a part, and so if we deny ourselves because we don't have time, or because we think that whatever our judgments about it is, sometimes that will of course manifest as fear. um
Mhm.
the reasons why we don't is a lot of times related to fear. And remember that fear, when we give in to our fears, that can be that can have a diminishing effect.
And one of the things I wanted to mention, when a couple of days ago, when Erica was saying that she was feeling depressed about listening to this part of the book, that there's a pattern that happens, and one of the things that I've learned on my journey, and then as a clinician, is that those patterns kind of repeat themselves, and that area where that fear is, that's like the if we could just get past it, like how you move from, like in the Matrix, how you come out of that world to this world, if we could just push through it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you pay attention, there's a pattern, like this is typically when I stop.
Right, right.
This
Uh-huh.
is typically when I say, okay, that's it, like, that's it, I can't go further.
Right,
It's
right.
like, let's that push, getting that push in. There is a pattern that we can pay attention to too, just like you recognize the pattern in your sister-in-law, that when things go a little tilted, she decides to be creative. If we all pay attention, we're all doing that. Some of us capitulate, and then some of us say, okay, I need to create.
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know and paying attention to that feeling where you want to run and hide is probably the feeling where you need to just, like, let me make something, create something, bake a cake, something.
Right, right. So that little membrane, I'll call it a membrane, because that's what it seems like. It's like when you get close to it, you feel a certain amount of fear. But
Hmm.
when you actually touch it, it just kind of falls away. But
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
requires that you actually touch it. It doesn't just, like, I can't. It actually requires that you push, and that pushing through. That's how you got into this world. Somebody had
Yes.
the courage to push, right? And and
Ooh, I
it
love
may
it.
seem
It's so
like,
good.
yeah, it may seem like that it's going to take a while to get there, but that birth canal is really short when you you know
Yeah.
once you break through there, it's like, whoo, I'm here.
And
And
you have the support, so sometimes you do have to rest. Let me take my breath, but stuff is still moving.
yeah,
Taking a breath, but things are still moving you forward. And you go, okay, 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 okay. Like,
yeah,
okay, you just got to keep going.
yeah, yeah,
Let's get this over with. Let's just push
yeah,
through this and see
yes.
what's gonna come out. Like, see how we're gonna end up. It's that exciting, but it's also that fear. It's that same level of fear too, but
Mhm.
it's still that exciting. But the push is so real
Right, right. And
and necessary.
yeah, yes, it's necessary. And so I would encourage you guys, because I realize that this can be quite uncomfortable, right? This section, and even thinking about taking responsibility for our health as it relates to this sexuality piece, right? Can be really scary, especially if you don't have a partner, or if you have a partner that you don't necessarily feel like you can work on these issues with, that kundalini stuff.
So remember,
Um,
okay, I'll let you finish your thought.
no, go. Actually, I need to go grab a glass of water if you got something
Oh,
to say. That
okay. I was just saying, remember when we first started talking and I was talking about the partner that I'm looking for and how I wanted that partner to be like a doula, the somebody that was going to join me in birthing whatever this is that I came on this planet to do, that that person needed to be a co-creator with me in bringing the vision forward or the assignment that is for me on this planet, for them to co-create. And we call it a doula. That's someone that walks through the pregnancy with you, goes through the labor pains with you, soothes you, coaches you, gives you the, tells you to push, tells you to breathe, kind of has your blind, is like a blind spot for you in that way as well. And when I envision my divine right partner, that's who he is. He's that partner that is going to take this spiritual journey. I understand the assignment that I have now. Now it's like, okay, no more abortions, let's push this through.
right,
And so it's important. Well, it
right,
may not be important for everyone, but I came to that understanding a couple of years ago that that's what I'm looking for, a doula, like that person
right.
to birth that through.
Well,
So my
so
phone is ringing, sorry.
okay, no problems, no worries. So, so sometimes the question comes up for me is, sometimes what we're praying for is already right there. And so a lot of times we have the assumption that that is something that doesn't exist because we don't see it in the ways that we expect to. So, but I think it's a powerful thing to have an imagery about what it is that you're desiring, but not to wait until that shows up for you to start to wake this up inside of you. So, say for instance, this idea about us having unspent sexual juices. If you have the perception, and this is uncomfortable, right? I'm not even going to say that it's not, that it's a comfortable conversation, because I recognize that for many this is one of those things, like, fear will cause us to look away, to run and hide. Oh no, I can't hear that. I can't believe that girl is talking about that. um but what I do know is in order for you to really start to draw to you what you want, you first have to cultivate that within yourself so that you become a match for what it is that you are desiring. So unless I work on me, I can't draw to me what it is that I need for my highest and best good, because I'm not a match for it. I'm not an energetic match for it. So what we have to do is to begin to work on our energy so that we become an energetic match for that which we are desiring, right? So when I talked about the other day that, if you, that it says in here that sexual, I think it said, sexuality is raw power. And I talked about power versus energy, right? So power is something that has the capacity to pull, and energy is just something that you just sit in. It is just that. So there's one that's a moving thing, right? We learned about this in school. One that has the ability to move, and the other is just kind of like the atmosphere that you're in. If you are not, your atmosphere is not one that draws, or that is a match for what you're looking for, you will not draw it. So then what you need to do is to then be able to create it yourself. How do you do that, Sandra? Well, you start recognizing, first off, that there is a sexual part of you, even when you don't have a partner to focus in on. You then have to see yourself as this sexual energy, become a force field or an energy field within yourself. How do you do that, Sandra? That means that you begin to pay attention to that energy, right? And so as you pay attention to it, you can do this in a number of ways. You can do it in a way that that you begin to heat up, like just becoming conscious of your organs, just becoming conscious that they are there, that they have the capacity and the ability to work. And sometimes it's just in the morning time, just saying good morning to it, right? Bringing your full attention to that particular area, whatever, whether you're man or woman, whatever it is, just to become aware of it. Wake it up and start sending it love. Stop judging it, right? There is motion at my back camera. I wonder why. If it's a groundhog, y'all, I'm about to, oh no, it's a bird. I was about to say, I'm about to cut my camera off if it's a groundhog. These groundhogs keep eating my garden, y'all. So y'all just don't understand how mad I get with these doggone groundhogs. So sorry, that was my little diversion. But you have to begin to cultivate that piece of you. And you do that. That book Pussy was good about it. This other guy, Cultivating the Sexual Female Energy, is really good about it, but not to just ignore it as if it is like some dormant part of your being that doesn't have, because without you bringing intention or attention to it, it's just hanging out, right? It's just there. But when you start to treat it as if there is a multiple function, this is not just one where where you take a leak, right? It's not just that, but that there is a energy, a power about it. There is something beautiful and wonderful about it. And if you could stop judging it and just start to appreciate it, that wakes sister girl up, or that wakes brother man up, right? It says, hello, right? Hello, hey, right? And then to be about the business of how do I recognize that I could give her or him some attention. What does that mean for you, right? There are all kinds of things available on the market if you ever want to invest in toys, or if you just want to just start bringing your attention, just awakening that part of you does something in the atmosphere. It causes other people even to cue into your energy field, because you don't even have to do anything. Once you start to wake up that piece of you, then other people become unconsciously, right? This is not even a thing that we're conscious about. It's an unconscious, ooh, what did you do different, right? That's what people do. They look at you and say, something's different about you today. So figuring out a way to just start to tap into and cultivate that energy. There are some great things out on the market. Some of them are free. There is some stuff out here that's free. Or you can buy some type of the line equipment. You can do it from the privacy of your own home, right? Comes in boxes that will thrill you and all of that stuff. I'm gonna throw out one because I used to watch so many of those doggone testimonials that people put out there. I think somebody was talking about anyway, there is a place called, or a website, I think it's called Tracy's Dog, just like it sounds, Tracy's Dog. And if you can get in one of their test groups, because they do have test groups and test sites, right? If you can get in one of their tests, they will send you out some stuff free for a testimonial on how it works, right? To give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or to evaluate the product or whatever. They will send you that doggone thing free. And all you got to do is, once you get in one of their groups, you know, say, hey, put your hand up and say, hey, I want one, you know. If the cost of it is an issue for you. If it's not the cost that's an issue, if it's a mental thing, then ask yourself, because a lot of times we're repulsed by our own bodies, our own thoughts of our own sexuality, and then that becomes a problem. That's the issue that you need to overcome. That's when you need to ask yourself why, right? Why am I feeling this way? Where does this come from? And then begin to trace it back. One of the things that I used to do with myself was I would start off at a certain age. Like when I was in the 7th grade, was this an issue for me? What was I thinking about then? And if I found that it was somewhat of an issue for me, then I go back to, okay, what about the 6th grade? Let me think about where I was in the 6th grade and where that might have come in. Was it the 4th? You know, I'll go back and I will sometimes, whether it's the years according to grades, or whether it is, because sometimes we have to be like archaeologists in our own lives, in our own bodies, and then try to trace back where it was. If you know where it was, if you know precisely, sometimes we know that it occurred because this, you know, this girl or this woman, you know, did such and such to me, or if it is because some boy tricked you, or because at church such and such you heard this, that, or the other. It is bringing up or calling that issue out in the midst of that, and really taking a look at it. Sometimes we need somebody to walk through this journey with us, right? Sometimes we need to have a conversation with somebody, but sometimes we need to have a conversation with ourselves, right? And I used to tell Stephanie that I thought it was a really powerful exercise. I think mirror work is powerful and amazing. But also, if you want to write a letter to yourself or to a person, if you want to sit a chair in front of you and have a conversation with yourself or with a person, but working through and starting to work through those issues, and then asking yourself, because you know there's this thing that we do, all of us do, is first off we blame ourselves, right? Like, if I hadn't, or if only this, or whatever that, you know, we get caught up in all kind of stuff, and don't dismiss stuff just because you think, oh, I was only 6 then, that it shouldn't count, because that's the stuff that absolutely counts. And so this becomes ours to work on, so that we start to see ourselves differently. You know, I got a picture of right here, this little lady on and sitting up in that white dress. That's me when I was like 3 or 4. And sometimes I have to look at her and love her right where she is, because in her innocence, she, you know, she was just doing what she did the best that she could. And so sometimes people, you know, I didn't have any, I don't recall any issues that I had then, but sometimes we got to look back at ourselves and recognize that we did the best that we could with what we had. We got to forgive ourselves. We got to let ourselves off the hook. And all of this becomes part of the process, so that we see ourselves as, as these, these innocent, wonderful people, beings that we were, right? And when, I talk often about the girl that we had that moved into the neighborhood. And I don't know, I wasn't sexually uninformed as a kid. I mean, because I had older brothers, and I had a older brother, and my older brother always had friends that was like, can I see? Or or I got a nickel. you know, I mean, there was always some type of something that was going on. That's how kids are. There is this curiosity. But when that little girl moved into the area, she brought with her some stuff that it was like, whoa, what do you mean I'm gonna get hair down there? Like, why? Nobody ever told me that I was gonna get. I mean, that's not something your parents say. Oh, you're gonna get hair sprouting up. This little girl, she was like, "You don't have yours yet," and I'm like, like, why would I? She was like, "Let me see." I mean, stuff like that. But in a sense, it's really what we go through, all of us to some degree. And maybe. Remember yesterday I was just talking about this need to be chosen. Maybe you were not the one that was chosen on the playground, either to play the game, to play kickball, or chosen to be chased. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't your thing. Maybe it wasn't your plight, but that does not mean at this point that there is not something wonderful in you that is waiting to wake up. I mean, just waiting to just be re-inspired, re-acknowledged, remembered, right? And if you didn't see that yesterday, go back and watch that too, because I think all of this is part of this. So let me keep reading, because we already at 20 after or 15, yeah, 20 after, and we only go till 8:30, and I still am not off this page. I got a paragraph in, so let me finish the page. I'm doing this like y'all doing this to me, right? I feel your energy. Your energy says that I need to talk. I'm sorry. So in a woman younger than 40, problems with menstruation, cramps, and PMS are classic indications that she is in some kind of conflict with being a woman. That's big. Now, I tell people all the time, I was a tomboy growing up. I did not want to be a girl. I was not the energy. So my dad used to tell me, my father, wonderful man that he was, he had this thing that he said, if you can kiss your elbow, you will turn into a boy. So for the longest, I went around trying to kiss my elbow. I mean, it was a thing. And then I thought I was going to trick it somehow and kiss it, but it never happened, because I eventually turned in from a girl to a woman, right? And at a certain point, I fell in love with being a woman, right? And so for some of us, it's a natural process to go from I hate it to, ooh, I love this, right? But we gotta not give up on it, right? We've got to figure out. And I mean, even that has had its ebb and flow. If you've seen me and you've seen me over time, you know that there are times when I have been like just feeling all of this. And then there's been times when I'm just like, and so there's this, but when you're in an ebb and forever in an ebb, it's time for you to flow, right? And so part of this is learning how to flow. Part of this is knowing that the flow is still necessary, or still possible, right? This is man or woman, right? If you, and because men, you go to sleep just like we do, right? You get uninspired just like women do, and so that becomes something else. If you are not in the relationship that you desire, if you're not having somebody sniffing after you, then maybe it's because you have just that part of you is dormant in sleep. If we wake it up, right? I know, and it seems like it's hard during the pandemic to kind of, to have that pull power, but don't sleep on it. Stephanie just told you she was dating, looking for her dojo, or her whatever she called it. I'm messing it up. Dojo was on the karate show. Um, anyway, most people, and then she goes on, conflicts with being a woman with her role in the tribe and with tribal expectations of her, right? So say for instance, for me, I didn't want to have children. I knew that at a young age because part of what I was telling, I've said before is my mother, um, before she started working outside of the house, she babysat, and we always had like a ton of kids here. And I was thinking to myself, like, woo, I don't ever need to be somebody's mother. I don't ever want to do this, right? This was not so I knew this as a young kid that I didn't want to, I didn't want that for me. And but the expectation was, and people would say to me, "Oh, you're gonna be such a good mom," or "Oh, you're gonna do that," and I was like, I was rebelling. I was rebelling early on. So I get that there is an expectation that is put on people and put on their lives, that that you have absolute. Some people think that, oh, I'm supposed to get married, or I'm supposed to stay married, or they've got all of these expectations that is put on us by somebody else. And most of the time we swallow it, we accept it without ever questioning it. And that too can cause us a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression over the years. So getting clear on that is what you can do. You can get help, right? You can get help for getting clear, or you can really just start to bring your awareness to this. Find a good person to talk to too, if you don't have or feel like you can get into therapy, and have somebody else just there to walk this walk with you. Most problems with bleeding and irregular periods frequently come from having too much emotional stress, combined with the belief that one has no power over their life choices, and that one's choices are always controlled by somebody else, right? And so a lot of times we feel that and we are unable to give voice to that. Even in our adulthood, people feel as if they have no power over their choices. They feel as if somebody got a remote control and making them do whatever it is that they're doing. So bleeding abnormalities are often exacerbated when a woman internalizes confusing signals from family or society about her own sexual pleasure and sexual needs. Now, society would basically tell you that you're a tool to be used, right? That you shouldn't have any sexual desires or any needs. And if that has been your experience, then you gotta really start doing some work on yourself, right? Start pleasuring yourself so that you know that pleasure is possible. Oh my goodness, right? It is possible. It's possible for you. And yeah, and then just exploring how to make that happen is an amazing thing. For instance, a woman may desire sexual pleasure but feel guilty about it and unable to ask directly for it. I told that story about that woman, who used to have a song, a special song when she wanted to have sex, because she couldn't say that, even though it was her husband. She couldn't say it because there was something that had been impressed upon her that said that good girls don't do this. That if you want it, that something is nasty or dirty or wrong about you. And that is not the case. This is so natural to us, right? And so she may not be conscious of this in her conflict, but it does not mean that it is not there. So for each and every one of us, it is about figuring out what the issue is. If you keep looking away, you will not. And remember, we were talking about this fear as being the membrane. There is this something that is, in you that doesn't want to think about it, that keeps turning away every time you get close, because sometimes it's just like the memory is so doggone scary for us. But if you can see yourself as that little girl, or understand that, Oh, and then she goes through here. Let me read this portion, and then I'll let this go, because I don't want to get off of here without reading this last piece of this, because we're just talking about female sexual energy. She says tubal problems and problems with fertility are centered on a woman's inner child, while the tubes themselves are representative of unhealed childhood wounds or unused energy. The flow of eggs can be blocked. That's what happens with us. They release out of the fallopian tubes, remember? The flow of eggs can be blocked because a woman's own inner being is not old or nurtured enough or mature or healed enough to feel fertile. Ooh. And that takes us into this whole case study that she did, right? Um, so this energy pattern may underlie tubal problems, right? Where in your life are you? And sometimes this stuff is not on the surface, right? You just because you don't feel like, say for instance, you don't feel mature enough, it doesn't mean that that's the reality, but it's a feeling that you have. Let me tell y'all this quick aside for a second. When I used to tell people when they would ask me about if I was going to have children, I would say to them, my mother, I thought my mother was Superwoman, right? I thought my dad was Superman. I mean, most of us do. But when I was little, my mother used to, when we first started going to school, we went to the school that we had to walk to every morning. And my mother, we would get all dressed up and she would say, walk up, and we would, walk to school. And there was, there was a few of us that were in the same school at the same time. So we would, we would walk. And I remember one time there was a snowstorm, and I used to cry every time I told the story. There was a snowstorm, and when we got out of school at the time, I guess we didn't have two cars or whatever, but when we got out of school, my mother was there waiting on us. And so she walked us home. She came up to the school to get us, and she was walking us home because it was so bad outside. And we got around the corner from the house. I remember exactly where we were on the block, and she looks down at me and she says, "Sandy, are you cold?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I was freezing. And my mother took off her coat and she put it on me. And I said, "But mommy, what are you gonna do?" And she says, "Adults know how to keep themselves warm." And I tell people, I'm an adult now. I'm over 50 and I still ain't learned how to keep myself warm. And I used to tell people that I wasn't going to be anybody's mother until I learned how to be that kind of mother. And for me, that whole kind of energy around that was like when she said this here about people not feeling mature enough to be a mother, or not feeling mature enough to actually, I get that. I get it. I get it on a really deep level, right? And so sometimes our own stuff is not just the physical manifestation, but rather a mental manifestation, which turns into a physical problem. Our biology becomes our biography. Our biography becomes our biology. That's how it goes. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey.
So just to finish off this paragraph of this piece here, she says this energy pattern can underlie tubal problems. One part of a woman may remain in pre-puberty due to her own unconscious decision about her readiness to produce life, if on some level she is not out of the egg herself. Yes. So that's the end of that piece, that section there.
Good. Good
Yeah,
work. Good work. Good work. That was
yeah.
good. It's
You
good.
know, look, I got
That's good.
I got a call yesterday, and I got a call yesterday, and this guy asked me, he was like, "How many times you gonna say pussy?" Wait a minute. And then he
Until
said,
it don't bother you.
right, but wait a minute. And then he says, I don't understand why you call it a pussy, and then you call penis a penis. So I said it, I used the word today. So so
That's an
yeah.
interesting question. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I have to think about that. And my perception around yeah, why I call it what I call it, whatever. So tomorrow, we are going to be again talking about Kundalini energies, and there's a case study that she talks about a woman, yeah, a woman and that. But you guys, if I haven't said the word masturbation, if I haven't been clear about that, check out Tracy's dog. You know what? Maybe I should look at it and make sure I got the website right. And they have, like I said, tracysdog.com. Is it tracysdog.com? Nope. I mean, no, I spelled it with 2 G's. So let me take out one of the G's. Yeah, there it is. Tracy's dog is tracysdog.com. And they will, when I say that these folks, they got a Facebook page, and they have people in there combing through their Facebook page all the time, putting up stuff saying, hey, we're testing out a new toy, or we're testing out this toy, you know, give us some feedback on it. And for men too, right?
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, I was gonna wait till tomorrow to say that, the whole Kundalini and the second chakra, we talk about the sex part because we've been programmed that that's the piece, and sex is important, the whole act of it. But the reality is that the number one goal is activation
Yeah.
and awareness, and making sure that you are aware that this is a live part of your body and that it has magical powers. That's a Stephanie word. I don't know what the clinical term is, but there are magical powers of keeping that part of yourself alive. I hear people saying, oh, I had a hysterectomy, I can't, and I have language for that too, but it's because it's not alive. It's not alive. And I think she even talks about that too.
Yeah.
That is not an excuse for that area of your life to be dead. And it doesn't require two is just like double magic.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know it's that the Kundalini experience is something that is just a energy that just radiates back and forth throughout everything. And she's going to talk about, I don't know how far we're going to get into it, but I wanted to say that the first day we started talking about this, that it's so much more than this sexual activity.
Mhm.
Is magical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a magical experience, and I'm so appreciative to be able to
Yeah.
even have this conversation out loud.
Right. And what I appreciate too is talking about it like as a power, and
Yeah,
as a
it
force.
is. It
Right.
is.
And so when you think about it in terms of that, I think that that it helps you to see
Yeah.
that just like everything else, right? Everything else has a function and functionality that does too.
It's
Not
the part
just
of the little cosmos that I am. It's a big
yes.
cosmos.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Amazingly, we didn't get any comments today, not even a good morning, but nevertheless,
Gretchen said good morning.
Gretchen didn't say good morning.
Yeah. Gretchen said good morning. Desmond said good morning.
Why do
You
I not
don't see
see
your
that?
notes?
I
Oh,
don't see that.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to look on my phone because my thing has not shown that anybody was present. So my bad, y'all. And Stephanie, who normally doesn't see
I
that.
normally don't see anything, but I learned something when I did my StreamYard the other day. I was like, oh, I can have my phone on.
Ah, I don't know how to mute that.
I normally don't see
Okay.
anything, but I learned something when I did my StreamYard the other day.
Oh.
I can have my phone on.
Hi, look at that. I do have that. So y'all, when I don't say something or acknowledge y'all, when I don't acknowledge your things in the window, it's because I don't see them. I have nothing on my screen. I have nothing on my screen. And it's all good, but I didn't see that. So my bad. Good
Yeah,
morning.
and now that I know that, I'll pay attention too, so I can give you a heads up. If I recognize that if I see it and you didn't say anything,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah,
definitely pay
usually I
attention
try
to
to read what people say and incorporate it or at least acknowledge it. So that's my fault. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, because usually you'd be like, I don't see that. I don't see that. All right.
That's
So
interesting how that happened today of all days, right?
yeah, I'm glad.
Wow. It's
Okay.
magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got nothing over here. Nothing.
All
So
right, my dear.
So yes. Okay. So I will see you. Everybody, thank you for being here. I'll see you
Thank
guys
you.
tomorrow. Stephanie, have an amazing day. And I will see
Thank
you
you.
tomorrow. Thank you so
See you
much.
tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. See
All
ya.
right. Bye-bye.